Hi, Eric here with 30x40 Design Workshop. This week I'm sharing an interview with my good friend Enoch Sears. He's the founder of the Business of Architecture podcast, and he invited me on his show recently where we pulled back the curtain on my architecture practice, discussing everything from my non-traditional business model to business failures, essential pivot points, my daily routine, passive income, how to get started selling products as an architect, and the commoditization of architectural design. Enoch is an architect practicing in California who is already employing many of the passive income earning strategies I advocate in the interview and my book. If you're not already a subscriber to the Business of Architecture podcast, I highly recommend it. Enoch isn't afraid to ask difficult questions, and we move from the macro strategies, things like my weekly and daily routines and my business model, and we move into digging deeper on the precise tactics and details as well. Revenue splits, failures, and how I use passive revenue to build my studio. The concepts we discuss in the interview are broadly applicable to all entrepreneurial ventures, not only architecture practices, so I encourage you to watch even if you're not an architect. Like most architects, I serve clients, and this service model directly links time or hours worked to my income. With this model, stepping away from the business for a trip, a weekend off, or the holidays consequently stops the flow of revenue. One of the things I did when I opened my business was to set a goal of divorcing the business's revenue from this direct relationship. How? By developing products. Products are created once and then sold in multiples. A video is a product, a book, plan sets, details, specifications, training. You get the idea. I also learned that by selling products, I could support the services side of the business and build a stronger brand in the process. It isn't easy to live in a remote location and design the kind of projects I wanted to design, but by dividing the business into two complementary arms, a service and a product side, I found it's possible to live the life I want in the place where I want to live and practice the kind of architecture I want to. We also discuss in detail my daily routine, how I optimize for results rather than perfection, how I relentlessly execute on a predetermined plan, and much more. Many thanks to Enoch for having me on the show, for serving the architecture community, and for helping architects to run more profitable practices. I hope you'll consider supporting his mission by subscribing to his podcast and his YouTube channel. And I just wanted to include a few short excerpts from the interview. If you only watch one thing, make sure it's my answer to his question about selling $500 plan sets. I'd love to hear your thoughts as always. Cheers.
You are an advocate of an innovative business model for architects that at least they should be thinking about, right, in terms of products and services. So tell us about this business model that you want to tell other architects about.
The standard business model that architects implement is a service-based business model. Clients come, you service their needs, you build a house or whatever, the program is. And at the end of that, your relationship is over, and then you have to sort of feed the beast again. You have to find new clients, and there's this constant sort of search for revenue streams. And so I thought, why not take the fruits of that labor and also turn those plan sets into products? So instead of just looking at a service-based business model, I added products to that. And the products can be sort of any number of things. It could be books, could be videos, could be teaching, training courses, could be plan sets. There's a whole range of things. And what I found was when I was developing this model was that the product side of the business would start providing a constant stream of revenue and allowed the service side of the business to be more selective in the clients that I chose. If we're thinking about making products, the first thing that comes to mind is like plan sets. And I had designed a house, for myself, and it was a Dwell Houses We Love finalists. And so it had a lot of popularity. And so I thought, okay, I'm just going to take this and I'm going to sell this. But I didn't do it wasn't just the floor plans. It was like the whole shebang. I wanted to sell all the details. And, as a custom residential architect, I'm thinking, okay, this should be 10, 12 grand for a set of really nice drawings. And so I realized pretty quickly that a house that's going to cost $350,000, $400,000, they're not in the market to spend that much on their floor plans. They're not going to do it. And so I reduced the price to $2,500, and I thought, okay, that's reasonable. That's probably as low as I'd want to go for that plan set. And what I learned there was people aren't really willing to spend that much either. And so I ended up sort of price pulsing this plan set up and down and really trying to find a market for this thing. And so I would say that was a pretty big failure. And I really started to kind of throw all these little seeds out there and then watch which ones grew as, I was watering them. And the ones that grew, I could learn from, their successes. Okay, this is how it works. So I could sell a plan set, not for $2,500, but I could sell a plan set for, let's say, $500. Pretty basic plan set. And then people would say, yeah, but I need this, or I need that. I also need this. And so I took that and I learned from that. And I said, okay, well, there's a separate service for that. And so if they ended up being a good target client, and I looked at the plan set that I was selling them. Of course, it's my architecture. I know they're into my architecture. They like this. Let's work together. We start developing a working relationship. And then suddenly that passive set of a plan set turns into a, fully customized solution. Okay, we're going to add a garage. Now we're going to add a guest house. We're going to take all these things. And I realized, there's all of these other products. So I could take a $500 plan set and I could turn it into a $12,500 commission by just attaching these little pieces, and people would buy things along the way, and people were really accustomed to buying products.
What would you say to architects who may be thinking, Eric, it sounds like you're commoditizing the profession. It sounds like you're commoditizing your design by selling $500 plan sets.
Yeah, that's a pretty common complaint coming from architects. And, my response to that, it generally is, somebody's going to be providing services. There's a need in the marketplace. And so people need homes. And I feel like architects are best positioned to design those homes. Not everyone is going to be able to afford a luxury custom residential service that I provide. And I feel like having a product side to the business really acknowledges the fact that people aren't going to spend, 20, 30, 50, 60. I mean, some clients will spend over $100,000 in architectural fees. Like, I couldn't afford that personally. And I'm guessing you probably couldn't afford that personally, but you deserve to live in an architect design home too. And I feel like there are some compromises that are made. Obviously, I can't design a home that's site specific. If I'm selling a $500 plan set, it's going to be generic in a lot of ways, but I can make it really energy efficient. I can make the plan work. I can, give people a functioning home for what is going to be probably the largest investment of their life. It's something they deserve, rather than having, a contractor design it on a napkin, or, purchase something that from a modular home company that just isn't well thought out. I mean, I have some neighbors who purchased those things because, they couldn't afford to work with a designer. And I see the result of what they live with. I mean, they spent as much money on their home as I did, and they can't furnish their living room because of the way the circulation works. And so as architects, we can plan the circulation so it makes sense. So you can furnish it, so you can get a lot of natural light, so you can save a lot of energy. And so, I don't think this is, for everybody necessarily, but I do feel like architects have a responsibility to people who are buying homes to provide them with other options.